Hey guys, this is Joe, founder and host of Startuprad.io. As you guys may already know, I've run this podcast full-time since January 2021. I'm very happy to announce that Anchor FM is my sponsor for this podcast. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free and it's easy to use, even for a newbie. They're creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hey everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Startuprad.io, your podcast show with startup news and interviews from Germany.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is once again Joe from Startuprad.io, your number one startup podcast from Germany. This time I do have a kind of repeating guest here. Hey Christopher, how you doing?
Hey, very good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. You are now here a guest for the second time, and we do have a reason for it, don't we?
Yes, we do. Very happy about that, actually.
The story goes a little bit like this. I've seen on Bloomberg a list called the 50 most promising startups you've never heard of. It's based on the data from a market research company called Quit that actually did it back in, I do believe, 2009. And they have crunched the numbers, and they had, of course, a lot of losers, but also some big companies that I identified as most promising companies. And actually, you are the only one from Germany who actually made it on the list.
Yeah, as I said, extremely happy about that. And we're also a bit caught by surprise. We had no idea about the initiative from Bloomberg. And when it was officially released, basically, it was perfect news for the company.
So last time they identified as most promising startups companies like Cloudera, Palantir, Twitch, Spotify, and Evernote. It's like getting your own sword or something like this, getting your own ribbon, being at least on a Bloomberg article in the same league there.
Yeah, I mean, this is super big names out there that have been selected by the list before, and they have done a great deal of research. I think they've screened 50,000 companies for that, so it's definitely a great honor to be on that list.
Congratulations. And now let's talk a little bit about why you actually came. So basically, we had an interview with you published end of November 2015. I do believe at this point you just founded Clark, right? In 2015?
Yes, we started with the first website live in June 2015. And then I had the first customers basically joining until the end of the year, and then I think we accelerated at the beginning of 2016 for the first time a little larger. Yeah, so when we talked for the first time, everything was still very fresh and very new.
You were more or less like in an alpha status.
Yes, kind of.
Before that, you actually did work with Rocket on their version of Airbnb called Wimdu, and I'm happy that you brought a lot of your experience with you. Also, I've seen on LinkedIn you've also been a consultant before, right?
Yes, true. I started my career 2006 with the Boston Consulting Group. Actually, I've worked there mostly in the financial services sector. And after then, I suddenly received an offer to join Wimdu basically in the very early days, and that caught my interest. So I switched into the startup world, I would say. But now I'm at least back in the financial services industry with Clark, obviously. So I kind of made the combination of both worlds, the financial services industry, which I did in consulting, and the startup, which I learned at Wimdu.
That is pretty cool. And can you actually tell us a little bit why Clark is such a promising startup? What do you guys actually do?
So Clark is an online insurance broker. We offer our customers a platform where they can solve all possible insurance needs that they may have. So we give customers an overview of the existing contract. We show them details of the contract, what's covered, what's not covered, how much they pay for that, how they compare to others also in these value for money features, basically. Yes. Yes, also. But I mean, it's like the first part is basically the overview part where our customers understand their insurance situation and get transparency around the products that they have. And many people don't have that, especially if you have collected over the years a handful of insurance contracts. Usually you lose control, you lose sight. And first we give customers transparency. Look, this is what you have, this is what you pay, this is what you get. And then we start optimizing, and we send them, for example, reminders when renewal dates come up. We compare the contracts to the market and try to find contracts that have better terms, that are cheaper or have better coverage details. Basically, propose them, and then they can switch in the app with just one click. Basically, we make it super easy for our customers there. But also for any other case, like if they have a claim, for example, they can come to us and we help them. So it's really meant to be a go-to platform for everything insurance related for you as a consumer.
That sounds interesting. I gotta admit, I see advertisements on Facebook from time to time. And of course, I do love The Simpsons here in Germany at 6 p.m. And I do see your TV advertisements there as well. Right now, it has not caught up with me, but since I'm a married man, I'm soon going to try out your services. On the other hand, I do understand, as you said, you are a broker, so you don't offer insurance yourself. You don't take the risk yourself.
Exactly. There's no Clark liability insurance or no Clark car insurance. We are collaborating with the established players, so we have access to the products of all large insurance or prominent insurance brands you can imagine in Germany. It's 160 in total. And we basically pull the information from those insurance companies and then compare their details and present to you as customer only what really matters. Of course, you can access all the details if you want to. But yeah, you're correct. There's no own Clark insurance product. We see ourselves more as the access point that basically sits. If you imagine it like a table, we are sitting on the side of the customer and help him navigate in this super complex space. Yeah, you have 500 insurance carriers in Germany, hundreds of policies and contracts from everyone. It's almost impossible for you alone to find the right product. So we see ourselves as sitting on the side of the customer and helping him to navigate through this jungle, basically.
So you bring more transparency into the market.
Correct.
I understand, but truth be told, if I would be an insurance company, I actually would not like that very much because it gives you an overview where I'm more expensive when I'm more cheap. So how did you initially get the insurance companies to work with you?
So the model is not new to insurance carriers because we are broker, and the broker model has been around in the market for years, actually, for tens of years. So the only difference in the first place has been that we do things online where others do it offline. And of course, we bring additional transparency that is easier to bring to the customer online compared to offline. But many of what we do is actually also required by law. Yeah. So, for example, we're also transparent about the commissions that we earn from the insurance companies for managing contracts or for selling contracts, basically. And to some extent, this is actually required by law also. But it's possible to hide the details somewhere, for example, or to make the numbers very difficult to read. And we're trying to be very upfront about all this and bring the transparency there. And yeah, and I mean, as it's an established model that carriers are used to working with, basically, there has been not so much of a problem.
And what kind of insurance you're actually dealing with? Because in Germany, you can have life insurance, health insurance, property insurance, and you can basically add to all the government provided insurances as well, like unemployment, retirements, and all the stuff. So there are a lot of insurances out there.
So we offer all types of consumer insurance, and it's categorized in personal products. That is, for example, car insurance, liability insurance, household insurance, real estate insurance, life insurance products, obviously retirement planning. And the third column is the health insurance, governmental and private health insurance. And we cover all three areas. So personal lines, health, and life insurance. And actually, because we said to ourselves, look, we want to be a platform where you as customer can solve all your insurance matters. If you then come to us and we say, oh, we don't have car insurance, then it doesn't work. So we said from the beginning on, there must be a way to offer access to everything. And yeah, we found that that this is possible and also doable via the app. So today we're offering everything.
And now, of course, the standard tough question. What then makes your company unique? What is your so-called USP, unique selling proposition that differentiates you from all other companies out there? In our video format, Startuprad.io, we had some discussions with other InsurTechs. They are also all insurance brokers as well. Admittedly, all of them have a certain focus. So what makes you different from all of them?
So what we want to ensure is that the customer is being transitioned, and we call the state the smart insurance state, where the customer really makes a green tick mark after his insurance situation and says, okay, well, now I'm well covered. I have not too much, not too little insurance basically, and I'm exactly where I want to be regarding my insurance. And for some people, this means that you only have basic coverage because they don't want to spend too much money on insurance, and they're okay to cover damages to a certain degree themselves. Whereas other people are completely different. They want to be insured against all types of risks, and we see it as our duty to find out what the customer really wants and what's his personal smart insurance situation, and then get them into this state as convenient for him as possible. And for that, it takes a lot of work in the product, a lot of work on customer journeys, on information that we provide in the app. And I think what we do there is pretty much unique because we have experimented with a large variety of data basically to understand the situations today and also the target states of our customers, and have then sort of tailored the journeys towards this end goal.
A customer journey here means basically that you play along how a customer would first encounter you, then punch in all the data, then manage all of his insurance on your platform and along that way, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, of course, it need be easy. We know that no matter how many features we put in the app or animations or these type of things, it will never be like fun or sexy for the customer to do insurance. Yeah, it's not going to be something he takes extreme joy from. So we say, okay, we need to make it extremely convenient and easy for the customer to also achieve little things like a contract switch or a contract optimization with just a few clicks. For that, we have found a very good way because the customer needs to provide us a broker mandate in the very first place, which empowers us which makes us the broker of record for him, and it empowers us to interact on his behalf with the insurance carriers. So basically, we can propose things in the app, and he just makes a few clicks, and we can go ahead and make the full execution for him. And yeah, that's I think the most important thing in our journeys, that we make it super easy and little effort for the customer.
Sorry, just one question here. You already talk about like insurance is not a lot of joy for your customers. How do you actually keep up the joy for your team?
We take our motivation from like getting the customer into this. We call it smart insurance, delivering that at very little effort, at getting the customers in this state. If we see that our customers are happy with the insurance situation, or basically have ticked the insurance situation off, then we've achieved what we wanted to do.
Speaking about the team, in this Bloomberg list, you are listed as a Berlin-based startup, but right now I do believe you're a Frankfurt-based startup. Is this true? Can you talk a little bit about this?
Yes, actually, it's not a split. We have the full team in Frankfurt. We are now 30 people, half of them roughly in the tech team, Of course, we have insurance experts, we have people in business development, in marketing, and operations, obviously. So there's a nice split between the functions, but the full team is sitting here in Frankfurt. So we have no one sitting and working for us in Berlin anymore. That used to be different at the beginning because we had the first couple of weeks of the company were in Berlin, and that was because like our major investor or one of our major investors basically has his office in Berlin and provided that to us at the very beginning, which was great because when you're just 3 or 4 people and you sit here in a lone office room in Frankfurt, it's simply more convenient to be in a nicer and larger office location with more people around, and that we took at the very beginning. And when we've grown to a certain size, I think like 10 people, then we finally made the full move to Frankfurt. But that was planned from the beginning.
I see, and everybody was cool with moving from Berlin to Frankfurt?
Yeah, it was the other way around. So we were only people from Frankfurt, but we traveled the first couple of weeks. We traveled to Berlin and basically worked there during the week. Sometimes also stayed the weekends, and then basically traveled back to Frankfurt. So it was more that way around.
So the question why Frankfurt, I would assume, is rather you're all originally from Frankfurt. Is your formal address, I mean, your headquarter, is it still in Berlin, at least formally, or is it in Frankfurt?
It's in Frankfurt. So we have documentation, everything is coming here to Frankfurt basically. And
so one has to assume Bloomberg made the mistake.
Don't know. What I wanted to say is regarding why Frankfurt, what was the reason? Of course, the team is from here, and that of course was the point. But I mean, we have extensively researched whether it makes sense or not to found a company here in Frankfurt, because obviously you know in advance roughly what kind of talent you need and where your bottlenecks as a company will be. And we've made massive research before we started. And in the end, the result was basically there's not a single reason not to found here. And so far, we're super happy with the choice, actually.
What were some of the bottlenecks you identified during your initial research?
I mean, obviously, it's typical bottlenecks that probably each company has at the very beginning. Tech, or not only at the very beginning, tech resources is a topic, but also access to great online marketing and product management talent. These type of people are not so easy to find. So we had to look, hey, can we find those people at all in Frankfurt? And we actually made some job ads before the company was founded, just to see what's happening and what kind of applications are actually coming in. And when we realized, okay, actually there's great talent here around, decided to start.
Changing a little bit the topic of the interview here, I was originally planning to ask you if Bloomberg reached out up front before they published in the article here we are discussing, but apparently they did not, as you already stated. And I'm very confident the company behind, the analytics company called Squid behind, is actually not disclosing how they arrived to their conclusion.
Yeah, no, they have not reached out to us before they published the list or while they did the research. I assume when they look at 50,000 companies, almost everyone is in there in the first place. So I think it's not difficult to be on the start list, and then I have no idea about the filters that they applied.
Talking about this list here, starting with 50,000 companies and narrowing it down to 50 startups, was this mentioning on this list a praise for you? Talking about the most promising startups part? Or was it like a challenge to your marketing you've probably never heard of? What was it for you?
Okay, so I think in the first place, you can be successful as a startup without creating a hype around you. That's why the part of never heard of, I think, is not so critical or not so important. Of course, we're emphasizing on the most promising, and I think that's what the list is supposed to display, and not so much the other part. So yeah, we take it as a praise. We felt honored by it, but I mean, of course, never stop and rest on what you have. And of course, we're working extensively also to make Clark more prominent.
What has been those reactions to the article? I mean, except for us reaching out to you, asking for an interview on a very short notice. By the way, thank you. You made it possible.
Yes, actually, To be honest, I have not heard about this ranking or list before we were now nominated and put on the list. So it was the first time I got in touch with the research and the results at all, and I was surprised how many reactions we have received. So from all types of stakeholders, potential business partners, potential investors, of course, the media. Yeah, it helped on many things actually already. So I'm very happy about it.
And so the question, what will be your next steps with Clark?
Product, yeah, always product, delivering on what we promised the customer. Of course, it's a never-ending journey, but I think this is what still is the most important thing, that we find a way that customers are like using our app like really often, not only once per month or once per week, but maybe there's a way to get the customers to open the Clark app even more often and learn a little bit more about where they stand regarding their insurance. So I think this is still the most important thing, and for that you have to see that product we've basically started from scratch. Yeah, there's nothing that you could look at and learn how to do this right. The product is a very long journey for us to get really to the point of the insurance situation and make it really right for the customer. This is where we take a great priority in the next couple of months, but we have also already taken a big priority in the last couple of months.
I had like two questions when you've been talking. The first one, what is your geographical coverage with Clark?
Germany. We're active only in Germany at the moment.
And you're looking at other markets right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're permanently looking. But the German insurance market is so incredibly large. Basically, everyone needs insurance. Yeah, that's the good thing about the market we're in, that it's a relevant topic for every individual, basically. So you have a potential of 80 million customers in Germany. Like from our point of view, we need to have a significant size in Germany and before we go abroad and just our model also to other markets. So I would say we're permanently looking, but we are not in the process of making a move in a different country right now.
When you've been talking about the size of the insurance market in Germany, what came to mind was my German interview with Tim Kunde from Insurance, also an InsurTech, but they're having a different approach than you have. And he told me the insurance market in Germany is as big as the global fashion market.
Yeah, that's a nice comparison. Like the first research I did was also on the size of the insurance market. It's a 200 billion market in Germany. And the first slide I made was comparing it to the aviation industry and to the e-commerce industry in Germany. And the number I'm looking at always is that the insurance industry in Germany is 4.5 times larger than the entire e-commerce industry.
I see. So you're looking at a market that is even bigger than Amazon and Alibaba. And my second question would be, if you kind of lift the hood of Clark, what we see there, is it like a really big database you've built there?
Yes, I mean, it's a hell lot of information that you need to digest. As I said, the market is extremely large. For that reason, of course, there are many players in this market. If I take Tim's example with the global fashion market, imagine how many fashion companies there are out there. The insurance market in Germany, then of course, is similar. Yeah, there are 540 companies. They all have different contract types, and somehow you have to press all of that in a database, because if you want to give the customer access to all of that and really find the best product for him, then you need to have really a lot of information in your database around the insurance market and the products out there, so that you can pick really the right stuff and also find reasons for why this is exactly the right thing for the customer. So there's a huge database that is at the core of everything that we do. And then you can imagine that there are algorithms that are sitting on the database. And the algorithms, I mean, in the end, it's an if-then rule basically that is running, and that is looking for specific situations in the customer life cycle basically, and then picking recommendations from this huge pool of data. And this is roughly how the architecture behind works.
And I would assume those algorithms are actually your USP? Talking about the database, you're using a professional product, or is it like tailor-made, self-built, open source stuff?
No. Of course, we're using professional database standards for that.
Now getting a little bit back to my questions that I wrote up before the interview, what was your best investment you did with the Clark so far?
I think it is the investment in actually what I've just described, because that brings a scalability to the platform. Yeah? If you have this large database and you have algorithms that consult on specific insurance situations and pick products for the customer, you can do this independent of the amount of interactions that you have in the database. So for us, the investment in building up the system has been very big. And that's why also, I think over the last 1.5 years, a lot of our focus has gone into that and making sure that we have a solution that is completely scalable, because you're tackling this massive market with potentially 80 million customers. There's no value if you build a solution that is not scalable and only can serve 40, 50,000 customers. You need to build a solution that is able to serve like a 6 or even 7-digit customer base. And this has been the greatest investment so far, and it's also the one that probably will deliver the highest value in the long run.
Once again, my brain worked, and I was wondering, when you remove all the data that is in the database, feed it up with the data of different insurance markets, let's say Italy, let's say France, let's say Spain, would your algorithm still be working, assuming they need a little bit of adjustment?
Yes, I mean the framework works obviously, but you'd need to adjust the rule set. Like the data sets, I would suggest don't differ that much. Of course, the rules you need to adjust, and you need to feed in the insurance company and the contracts locally. So I mean, definitely there's work involved. It's not simply translating a website and suddenly there you are in a new market. There's much more work to do, but it's also not impossible to go in other countries.
When I've been going through this article, there was no specific information about individual companies like yours, but there have been some information on the companies in general. And in general, all the companies had on average a little bit over 3 VC rounds so far. From what I understand from a Crunchbase data, you have only had 2 VC rounds so far.
Yes, it depends a bit how you count it. I think the Series A was the most notable one, but yeah, probably following that definition, it's 2.
And of course, this starts the question, are you intending to raise money anytime soon?
We're not in a need right now to raise money. We've done a very good Series A last year, and it's still carrying us for some time. But there's a great opportunity. Of course, you never say no. Yeah, you have to be flexible in our business. So not actively looking, but always open.
The article says the companies usually raise every 230 and a little bit days VC round. So it appears from what you tell us right now, before you've done some pretty good Excel sheeting here, right?
Yeah, we're the only German company on the list. We're prudent using the money.
Are you originally from Schwaben?
No, I'm not. I think we had a plan basically when we raised the Series A, and had a plan also how long that will carry us. And so far we're following this pretty nicely. So yeah, even if we've passed the deadline already for the race, we'll still take a bit of time for that.
Okay, then between just you, me, and a few 10,000 listeners of this interview out there, when is the next round due?
I mean, there's no fixed timing for that, but maybe beginning of next year, probably.
Finally got a date out of you. And of course, we'll be more than happy to forward every request we get and help you with that. And the very last question, not really related to the interview, but we like to tease you a little bit. If you could describe your life a little bit, either as a book title or a movie title, what would it be and why?
I didn't expect that question. I should have should have prepared. I think when I had to pick a book, I would go for Delivering Happiness from Tony Hsieh from Zappos, and it's a book about how they built a company and how things are working out on their side. And it's basically about how they deliver happiness, obviously, as the title says, to their customers. And I mean, I see it a bit broader because as a startup, as a company, there's many people that you need to deliver happiness to. Yeah? You want to deliver happiness, of course, to your customers, but for example, also to your employees. In the end, also to your investors, obviously, and also to yourself and to the founder team, yeah, because you have lots of things that you need to balance somehow, and the more people are happy with what you do, the better it is in total. So I think that's probably the right title.
Really great. Is there anything of importance that we may have missed till now?
Nope, can't think of anything right now.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for the interview. And hopefully see you
Very
next
much
time.
looking forward. Thank you so much for the interview. Bye bye.